this morning. It's been pretty quiet around town actually. So where we're heading from, people, we're at Queen's Wharf, it's called, Queen's Wharf Development, which is the buildings in front of us, which is nothing in this big building here, Queen's Wharf, the main one anyway. Did have 2 restaurants and a function centre, but the Queen back then is the bicentennial project. So it's, yeah, very dated. This vehicle you're in, this is a replica of a 1923 tram. And we did have lots of trams in Newcastle up until 1950 they were here, which we probably wish we still had, because they went all through the city and out to lots of our suburbs. Would have been a very very handy network. They don't do much, they just run up and down the main street. From our new station we built, we'll see a bit later. Building on our right was a signal box, now a cafe there. So the rail ran here where the concreted trees are on our right. Up to our old station here we're coming to. So they stopped the trains here about 6 years ago. Built a new station back about 3 kilometres behind us, we'll see that later. And run the light rail. The light rail's been going about a bit over 2 years. So the beautiful old buildings here, there's a couple of art galleries in the old buildings these days. A little bit of mist coming up through the concrete here on the right is a feature of sorts, not a problem. There's a few other bits spots that comes up as well. Kids like. So public space here, they use it pretty well. Pop-up things going on, concerts. The building there on the right, the clock tower, is Customs House. It was built back in 1890. Now a function centre, hotel and a restaurant. And I can imagine everyone's into motor car racing. We're just getting on the V8 supercar track here. We have hosted the final round of the V8 supercars here for 3 years. That's the main straight up where I'm pointing to the left, that's where they come from.
Up there.
They zoom up this hill at about 230 kilometres an hour.
Oh.
So we're actually, we're on the exact track now till we get back to the start of that main straight. It's very tight little circuit. Supercars, they'll be here next year for the first race of the series. And then hopefully not ever again. They're not very popular. Not very popular up at this end of town. Costs a lot of businesses a lot of money, me included, while they're here. And they disrupt the whole city. But the Lord Mayor likes them, so she'll probably win for another 5 years.
Stop work, haven't they?
Yeah, so the old train station here on the right, there's a few art galleries I think I might have mentioned in there, a bookshop of sorts. That was the end of the line, end of the Great Northern Line it was called. Hence the building here on the left is the Great Northern Hotel, which was closed for a long time, reopened just a couple of years ago, just the bottom level bar and restaurant. So we saw the light rail going up to the left, last stop's just up there, Newcastle Beach stop. We'll come past that, we're going to do a big loop and come past the last stop, Newcastle Beach. The red carriages, we got them from Spain, our little carriages. Originally at Watt Street. But we're about to go across our main street, which is called Hunter Street. Starts up to the left about 100 metres, goes to the right section for the first kilometre or so. Yeah, we'll do a loop. We'll actually come up to the start of Hunter Street up to the left there. Something happening down to the right. Not sure what.
No.
We'll be around there in the next action.
People down there.
I think there was a for sale sign. Maybe there's an auction there or something. We'll be there in another 10 minutes. We'll go past there. Put in a bid. So there's a big hill in front of us. We're going to stop at the top at the Anzac Walk. So there's actually 6 beaches around the city, counting Stockton. There's 3 on this side of the big hill in front of us and 3 on the other side. So we'll turn left here, we'll head down to Newcastle Beach. As I said, on the racetrack, all the way back to the harbour.
Terrace houses, aren't they?
Just on our right there, the grass area, that's Fletcher Park, it's called, on our right. A statue up there of James Fletcher.
Oh, yeah.
James was a businessman, politician around the mid-1800s. Actually started our local newspaper way back then, the Newcastle Herald, which is still going today. as we come down to Newcastle Beach. Beautiful day on around the coast.
Yeah.
If you look at the wave.
A couple in the
You can normally walk along the base of the cliff here to the right, but they're doing a skate bowl of sorts down there, so you can't walk along that bottom bit, which is part of a walkway called Bathers Way, so just got to take a little detour up this road. It's a very nice day. We're all nice around the coast. So Newcastle Beach, a circle up straight ahead sort of thing, built into the hill.
over there.
And just around the left here, normally pretty full along here. A couple of coffee shops up this end of town. And a grassed area there on the left. That's Pacific Park, it's called. If you walk all the way up the east end of Hunter Street, you'll come to that park. You can actually walk under the road here across to the beach and the kiosk. So still following the racetrack. Turn left here. That's a very tight circuit. Go past one of our long-standing hotels here. Noah's on the beach. Get some great views out of that hotel. Been here a long time. So right up the east end of town. Used to be pretty rough, sort of run-down, dirty end of town, but cleaned up a great deal over the years. Very highly sought after area, like anywhere around the coast these days. Got some of the old terrace houses up this way, which you probably won't get one under $1 million anymore, depending on the size and condition. We'll turn left here, racetrack still all the way across to the harbour, pretty much directly across. We'll go past here shortly, just past the trees. Up on the hill on the right is Fort Scratchley, which is open today. It's open every day except Tuesdays, the fort. It's an old gun emplacement and barracks built back in 1882. Yeah, free to go in unless you do a tunnel tour up through the hills there. Fort did see one bit of action here, World War II. We were attacked by a Japanese submarine, which fired about 30 shells onto us here without too much damage, and we fired a few back from that hill. It's called Signal Hill originally. It's where our first lighthouse was, and first coal mine shaft was sunk in that hill. So straight ahead out the front of the tram, across the water is the sandy bit over there is part of Stockton Beach. So Stockton Beach is 30 kilometres long roughly. Runs all the way up to a place called Anna Bay, which is on the way to Nelson Bay. So Stockton Beach, very popular for four-wheel driving, a lot of fishing along there as well. Our little racing cars here go straight ahead, here straight into the car park, do a bit of a U-turn around a brick monument in the middle, back along the foreshore, up the hill we went. That's the racetrack. So we'll see our third beach around the corner here, Nobby's Beach. We've seen a bit of Stockton from the distance, Newcastle. We'll see Newcastle again in a minute. So Nobby's here around the corner is actually a man-made beach, because where the lighthouse is, that was an island originally. It was called Nobby's Island or Coal Island, and we built a pier across there back in the early 1800s called Macquarie Pier, which eventually sanded up and formed the beach. Which is also where a big empty coal ship landed, just here on the left, about 100 metres long. It's called the Pasha Bolka. That's where it landed, just about 100 metres to our left. Sat on the beach there for 24 days until we were lucky enough to float it back off. 2007. It's been back in town. It was called the Drake. Apparently got a new name again now. Nobby's is also the start of that walkway I mentioned, Bathers Way. So it starts at Nobby's or finishes at Nobby's, whatever way you look at it. It goes to Merriweather Beach. It's a 6 kilometre walk each way, Bathers Way. And we'll do a little stop at a fairly new part of it called the Anzac Memorial Walk. So it's a little 450 metre section of Bathers Way. Opened Anzac Day 2015. Left here, normally you see some surfers out here on the left. It's a popular surfing spot. It's called the Cowrie Hole. Just here on the left, just before the ocean baths. Newcastle Ocean Baths up here on the left. We've got 2 ocean baths, one at Newcastle Beach and one at Merriweather Beach. This one closed today. They empty it and clean it on a Wednesday. They do Merriweather on a Thursday, tomorrow. So a big pool behind the facade there, which they're cleaning out. It'll probably be open late today. There's another pool over the rise. We'll see a big circular pool, which they don't really clean out that often. It's full of sand pretty much at the moment, and it only fills up with the tide over the rise. So it's a bit of a sand pit at the moment. Down there on the left, it's called the canoe pool. Got the seagulls in it. Originally had a map of the world cemented to the base of it, which the young kids used to paddle their canoes around. Hence the name. There is a bit of the map still under there, not much. Still a bit there, we see occasionally. When it gets cleaned out or flushed out as we come back to Newcastle Beach. So way up there on the left, up in the headland, that's where we're heading. We're going to work our way up to the top of that hill. The headlands, do a little stop just on the other side of the homes up there. As I said, normally walk along the base of the cliffs there, but they're doing all that work. But we did come down the hill from the left there not long ago, past all those taller buildings, which are mainly residential apartments. But all that land in front of us, where they sit on, that's where our hospital used to be. So our hospital used to be right at the beach here. It's called the Royal Newcastle Hospital. There is a little bit of it left, pretty much straight ahead. The older brick building near the trees, that was part of the hospital. Our main hospital now is it's about 30 minutes out of town, the John Hunter Hospital, which is the largest regional hospital in the state. John Hunter, and getting bigger. So back past Noah's, we'll go up the corner. We were turned right last time, we'll go left, see a little bit of the city. Up here there's a carriage there. Newcastle Beach stop, battery operated little carriages. Every time they actually pull up at a station they get a bit of a top up in their batteries. Every station's got a grey arm out of the roof, as this one does, and at the moment there's another arm attached to it off the top of the roof of the carriage. That'll come down shortly. So when they pull up, that arm goes up and they get a little top up in their batteries. Work that out. And just past it again, the big clump of trees on the right here, rusty structure. We found a convict lumberyard there, which would have been there in the early 1800s. Actually only discovered in the 1980s. Someone found a few old artefacts there, did a bit of digging, worked out we had a lumberyard and foundry there for the convicts. Okay, we're turning into the start of our main street, Hunter Street, 3 kilometres long roughly. Used to be a very, very busy, bustling street. Used to walk, a lot of people used to, me included, probably walk the whole length of the street to do your shopping. Probably into the 80s or so, it all started to change. We've got 2 big retail shopping centres just out of town. So a lot of shops eventually closed down or moved to those centres. People standing on the road, wanting to get run over, I'd say. While we're here, we're coming to a building just on our right. It's called the Lockup. Was a jail. Now a couple of art galleries in there. I put in a bid. Right, I made the day. So there are a couple of art galleries in that building we just went past, called the Lockup. The Herald Apartments, of course, down the corner. One of many apartment complexes that have happened the last 5 or 6 years and still happening. Been a very busy city last 5 or 6 years with the apartments and especially with the light rail construction. But a lot of our main street, Hunter Street, was closed for about 3 years. They also built 2 big new buildings on the main street at the same time, a new courthouse and a new university building for the city campus. We'll see both of those later. Now if we look here where I'm pointing, 55 Bolton Street out the back, under the building, there's a little cottage over there actually, a little yellow building out the back. It's been built around over the years. That's called the Rose Cottage. It's the oldest known residential building in Newcastle.
There you go.
They're thinking about the 1830s. Not that anyone lives there, it's owned by one of the local solicitors, I think, still. But Who would have went to this building in front of us probably? This is our old courthouse. We've got a new one, we'll see later. This one built in 1890, was sold a couple of years ago to a Japanese university. So they're doing all the work on it. They pulled down the buildings either side of it and rebuilt. And they're hoping to get some students here next year. So we're going to head out of town a little bit, into a suburb area. Bremisville, on the right, we'll go past our beautiful old cathedral. Christchurch Cathedral on the right. It was built back in 1903 without that big bell tower on it. The tower wasn't added on until 1979. And it only reopened a couple of weeks ago to the general public to have a look in there. So there's a door up here on the right. So you can go back in and have a look around. It was closed for over about 12 months. Used to be able to walk up to the top of the bell tower too, but they haven't started doing that yet.
I'll charge you rent for that spot. No visitors allowed.
Old church. Good views from the other side. Some old graves, headstones of prominent people from the past. Well, we hope there's good views. I haven't been around there because a lot of people lost their views up here with apartments happening. If you look down the street to the right, we're about to go past. We used to be able to have a great view of the harbour, but they built some apartments and blocked it out altogether. And they're building some more. So some people wouldn't be happy up here. So we're going to turn left, we're going higher. As we turn left, you do get a viewing corridor out to the right. Fairly clear in the distance. The church here on the right is the oldest Catholic church in the area. Built in 1866. St Mary's Star of the Sea, it's called. So we've got a building straight in front of us, the old brick building. That's actually a water reservoir in front of us. So Newcastle, a little port, discovered 1797 by Lieutenant John Shortland. So he was trying to capture some escaped convicts, came across our port. Could see a lot of surface coal up in the hills. Main settlement didn't start till 1804 as a coal mining town and a convict settlement. Coal was the mainstay of the city to start with. There were a number of coal mines around the city and suburbs. Now most of the coal comes from the Hunter Valley region, a few other areas, and it all gets railed back to our port where we've got 3 lots of coal loaders. And our little port, a big port really, because we're the world's largest port for the export of coal. There's one on the right we're just coming up to here with the tower. It's called Jesmond House, just here on the right. Probably our most well-known house, Jesmond House, built back in the late 1800s. Notably occupied back then by the Woods family. The Woods family back then owned the Castle Lane Brewery, which used to be up the west end of town. There's still buildings of the brewery up the west end. Now you might be able to see, if you look a hard left up on the hill where I'm pointing, you might see a bit of a wide pointy structure called the obelisk.
Oh yeah,
Up here.
that's up there.
You can walk up there.
Through. Oh no, that's the fence. Oh, up that
There's
way.
stairs just here on the left, hiding in the bushes. Great views up there, the obelisk. Before that was up there, but the original item up there was a windmill on that hill, built back in 1820. Then they took it down in 1847. But one of its uses back then, the sailors like to use the windmill as a bit of a navigational aid for King Edward Park. Predominantly on our right, we're going to have a little drive through the park. Visibility's not too bad today. You might be able to tell straight ahead above the lower buildings. Hills in the distance, that's where Stockton Beach finishes. In the very distance, up at Hannah Bay. Or where the sand ends, it's called Barooby Beach or Barooby Point. You're up that way, they built a cafe right on the sand there a number of years ago. It's a beautiful little spot. Out of peak season, that is. Which will be getting busier next week. School holidays next week. So we're going to have a little drive through the park, King Edward Park, named after King Edward VII. Sits on about 46 acres.
Yeah.
Down to the left there, below us is our sunken garden. getting a bit more colourful.
Nice, isn't it?
It looks like
Then just up here on the left, down the hill again, we've got our old band rotunda. Band rotunda was built back in 1898.
Oh yeah, I love that.
We used to run a motor caravan through the park here as well. It's called the Matara Hill Climb. So I've ran here for just on 50 years, the hill climb, finished in 2015. We do have our main carols by candlelight for the city in the park here, straight ahead, up on the hill there in front of us. The hill where we are. In here.
We're going up north, aren't they now? Yeah, we didn't know.
So Stockton Beach right in up the end there, Ruby Point. There's a well-known bathing spot in this area too. Pretty much straight ahead at the base of the cliffs. It's called the Bogey Hole. You can walk down to it, normally from the left, but it's blocked off down there, up from the right here. Bogey Hole below us, it's an old bathing area. It was cut out of the rocks by the convicts. Commissioned back then by the commander of the convict settlement, who was Commander Morissette. He had it made just for him and his wife to swim in initially. The Bogey Hole. This is the time to be there, low tide. You want to go for a swim?
Yeah.
There's on the left. Walk down to the Bogey Hole, or you normally come up from there, Bather's Way. Then straight up the hill in front of us, more stairs. To the top of the hill where we're going to do a little stop. And over there on the left, we've got Shepherd's Hill Gun Emplacement and Gunner's Cottage. It was built back in 1890. Which originally had a big gun that came up out of the ground over there, more or less behind that larger concrete structure. So we're doing at the top of the hill. Some of our nice old homes are on the right. We'll turn down that street, up the next one, and then we'll do a little stop. Up at some of the nice homes here. You only need about $4 million to buy them.
Not much.
This white one, this one here on the left went for $4 million a couple of months ago.
Oh, that's nice.
So I'll give you an idea. But where we're heading, over the hill, left or south, the big modern homes, anything with a view, that'll only be the starting price. $4 million, I'll go up from there.
Yeah, you're paying for that view out there.
So we'll go down to the corner here, we're going to go turn left, go up the end of the street then, and we'll stop at the start of the Anzac Wall. We stop at a lookout car park, it's called Strzelecki Lookout. And that's named after Paul Strzelecki. So Paul was a Polish geologist, explorer. He did a lot of work around here in the early 1800s for the coal industry, very important person back then. But was busy all around Australia, Strzelecki. His name appears in several places around Australia. We've got the Strzelecki Desert, Strzelecki Track, Strzelecki Ranges. He also climbed and named Mount Kosciuszko as well, and lived here for 5 years along the way. So straight ahead we're going, end of the road. They do hang gliding and paragliding up here as well, but hasn't been for a little while. The winds haven't been favourable. beaches. So the other three, Stockton, Nobbies and Newcastle. So we've got that platform section in front of us you might have been on. It's got the rusty silhouettes up either end, which depict the different armed forces. And they've got a lot of family names engraved into those features of local people that enlisted. So Memorial Park runs across the platform, goes down some stairs into the hill, comes back out on this road, which is called Memorial's Way, up to the end of the sand strip. There's three beaches along this beautiful stretch of coast. This end of the sand is called Bar Beach. In the middle is Dixon Park Beach, and then we've got Merriweather Beach at the southern end. Merriweather Heights up in the hills there. We're heading up to Merriweather and then we'll head into town. So plenty of other beaches, waterways as you go south. Heading towards Lake Macquarie and then the central coast. Lake Macquarie is close by. It's only 25 minutes away roughly from the start of it. Lake Macquarie is the largest saltwater lake in the southern hemisphere. So plenty of beaches, waterways within an hour's radius south and north. If you go from an hour north, you'll go around the Nelson Bay area. Or across from Nelson Bay, you've got Hawke's Nest, Tea Gardens, some of the lakes up there, Smiths Lakes, Fire Lakes. Beautiful parts of the world. If you want to get away from the coast, we've got our Hunter Valley Vineyards. Now you get over that little hill, you're in at Dixon Park, and you can walk onto Merriweather. We're going to go reverse Merriweather then Dixon Park. As we come into part of Merriweather, trams used to come out here. We also had a rail system out here. The rail was just for the coal, because there were a number of coal mines out this way and heading south. Pretty much right on the coastline there were several coal mines heading down towards Lake Macquarie, where there used to be a lot of coal mines around the lake as well. There's still a few that operate around the lake. And not really heritage listed, just out in Merriweather. Not that it's So the surf club here, beach, little coffee shop as well. Surf club. Up to the right is another building, Merriweather Surf House. We're going to drive past that. Proper little spot up here, Surf House. Relatively new, probably 8 or 9 years old. Used to have an old derelict surf house up here from the 1930s. So this one's a 3-storey building. Bottom level's cafe, coffee shop. First floor function centres, and on this level we're on, we'll go past a bar on this side of the building and a restaurant on the other side. Another great day to be up here. Watch a bit of surfing, maybe a few whales, a few drinks. So this is Surf House. So the bar there, no one there, is there? That's unusual, very unusual. And then the restaurant behind the wood panelling here. It's a great little spot too. Yeah, great viewing out of anywhere in the building. If you get a table, they get one right in the corner, so the best place, I reckon. Been there a few times. Then down the hill in front of us is Merriweather Ocean Bar, straight down the hill.
Oh, down there, yeah.
That pool opened in 1935. And it's the largest ocean pool in the southern hemisphere. So it's about 100 metres long by about 50 metres wide. Which they'll empty and clean tomorrow. Every Thursday they give it a clean. And the mining was here. Eventually inherited a lot of it by Edward Merriweather. Hence the name. He went left up through the heights, 10 minutes that way a bit, Charlestown, where one of our shopping centres is, Charlestown Square. Lake's not far away, off to Sydney or the Central Coast, it's one way to go. So we're up the top of the cliffs there moments ago. In the very distance we can see the hills of Manor Bay. Beach Hotel. We've had a drinking establishment around that site since the late 1800s. So the Beach Hotel, or the beach as we call it, was sold just over a year ago for the first time in 35 years, had the same owners. no one in there either. It's very, very quiet day today all around the town. So we'll turn right here. We'll head right along the coast there up to Dixon Park. It's a one-way road along there, right on the beach.
It is, yeah.
But it is a popular walkway, all sections of it. Dixon Park Surf Club and Beach in front of us lasted our 6 city beaches, counting Stockton. Then we had Nobby's Beach, Newcastle Beach, Bar Beach, Dixon Park here, and Merriweather. 6 around the city, all quite accessible. Even in the busy summer months, they're not too bad. Prices again. This house straight in front of us here on the left, it's only about 18 months old or so. Really narrow block of land here, but they paid $3 million for the land. Getting over the start of a well-known street in town, Derby Street. That'll take us right back to right into town to Hunter Street, Main Street. So we saw our old courthouse earlier. This is our new one just here on the left, or relatively new. Down the street to the right, if we went right, Bridges Hotel's just down there and our museum. We'll go past both of those on the way back. And up here on the left, the apricot coloured building is Civic Theatre. Beautiful old theatre in there, if you've been in there. If you're not, haven't, you should. Magnificent side, the Civic Theatre, built in the 1920s, seats about 1,500 people. So a few people around, I'm not sure. It's lunchtime, can get busy here. This little, we'll go in, there's little, they're going, must be something in at the Playhouse maybe. So Civic, yeah, beautiful theatre. On the right there, the brick building on the right was our, used to be Civic Railway Station when the rail ran on the other side of it. And then this east end or the west end used to be a pretty busy part of town as well. Of course, we used to have a lot of entertainment venues up this end of town also. Pretty much all gone. There is a shopping centre one street over to the left, Market Town Shopping Centre. Only food and groceries, but it does have some specialty shops and a big W. I'll turn right here in a minute. On our left through the lights here, that's the new train station. That's where the light rail starts, as one is sitting there. And apartment blocks all along here. And the car yard's about to close down. They're building apartments right there where the car yard is. Block out a few more people's view of the harbour. The road is honeysuckle. We'll just go up here a little bit and come back to there. Get up this way, really nice walking along the water here on the right, past the marina. On the other side of the buildings here on the right, there's a few coffee shops along there. You walk along what's called Throsby Creek. That's the water that comes into the harbour. Great little spot along here. Really, it's nice and flat for a few kilometres. Walk a long way. So yeah, a couple of coffee shops. There's a yacht club up here on the right. It's a great little spot. If you've been there, or you should go there if you haven't been there. Which they're just doubling in size. They knocked down a temporary sort of setup, and then right here on the right they're adding on. After. We'll turn around here. Straight ahead, the townhouses in front of us. All along that water there to the left used to be a big row of wooden wool sheds along there. Carrington across there, the bridge there. Just here on the left we've got a seafood co-op as well if you need fresh seafood. Then the yacht club. As I said, it's doubling in size.
stairways.
So we'll turn left of these lights, we'll head along the harbour through the honeysuckle area. Done a lot of work around here the last year or so on the seawall to the left. This road we're going on to has been reshaped.
Wouldn't be cheap.
We've got a grain terminal over there on the left. So, and ships have been coming and going. We didn't have any grain ships really for about 2 years, probably while the drought was on. They're fairly regular. Apartments along here, just past the crane, that green and white complex, relatively new. They're building one where the crane is. Apartments, and on the right here, they stopped building here for about 8 months or so, but they're about to start again. There'll be more, when they finish this lot, there'll be more on this side again. 2-bedroom apartment they gave for a bit over $1 million.
Oh, a 2-bedroom.
But it's the place to, if you can afford it, this is the place to buy, because a lot of the other ones are getting built out all the time. Get a half view here, right? Residential buildings. On the harbour side of most of these buildings, there's eating and drinking places along this section, and then the next block. There's a smaller version of that just up a bit further. Nova Cruises, I think someone's looking for League Wharf. I think Nova Cruises go from here on the left. There's that ship straight ahead that was coming out of the from the coal loaders when we're up at Straslecky. You can see that in the distance. Little old warehouse here on the left used to be our tourist information centre and maritime museum, but not for a couple of years. Hope Estate, the vineyard, have taken out a lease on that building. They just haven't put anything in there yet. Dockyard Hotel here, there's Ben in the window. Down that boardwalk there, there's eateries heading down towards Rich's Hotel. The old brick buildings around here, they're old railway workshops. The ones on our right is our museum. Museum, entrance behind the big hooks there, which came out of our steelworks. So the museum's open generally every day except Mondays, but it will be open Mondays for the next couple of weeks while the school holidays are on. Free to go in. Museum worth having a look if you haven't been in there. Straight ahead, this big building in front of us, before that was there, we had an ice skating rink and ice works on that land, which closed down in 1981, it disappeared. Ridges Hotel here, right on the harbour. It was the Crown Plaza until about 18 months ago now. You walk on the other side of that, along the harbour. Back on the road we started on, Wharf Road. We'll go past the White House. It's actually a nightclub in there. It's been a nightclub for a long time. But that house was originally the head office of the Australian Agricultural Company. That company controlled all the coal mining initially in the area. Relatively new coffee shop here, another one we've got. Just on the left here, we used to have a vehicular ferry that docked here on the left and went across to Stockton. So there's that ship we saw in the harbour, Straslecky. It was down that channel just here, around the point. It's called Dyke Point. So that ship will come out, and there was that other one. So the coal loaders down that way. We were looking directly down that channel, as I said, when we were up at Straslecky. So scratch this restaurant here on the left. Been here a long time. You can actually buy food out of the window with those two people there. By a certain menu. We've got most people's bus here. We'll just
Ferry for a ferry ride.
we'll pull over in front. Ferry's there, ready to go. Ferry goes at 12:30.
We're back.